Planning for our future infrastructure. This is absolutely critical. When we're dealing with trying to get new businesses to come into our region, we got to make sure we've got them power, natural gas, amenities, and this is critical. And I know today we invited Brian Lennie from ENBRIDGE, and he came here from Chatham because there's some key things that needs to be said here to make sure we understand what's happening both politically as well as what's happening at ENBRIDGE. So please give a warm welcome to Brian Lennie.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you all the organizers for this great event. Really appreciate it. My bio there on the table, I did just want to take 1 sec to do a bit of an aside. So in my spare time, I'm a board director with the VON, Windsor and Essex County. It's a cause very important to our family. My late mom was a longtime nurse and case manager with the VON. So I just wanted to give a shout out to anyone in the audience who has ever volunteered or worked for the VON, Kingston, Lanark, Leeds, and Grenville. If there's anyone out there who has family members who have used VON services, I just want to say to all of you, thank you for all that you do to support home and community care in Canada. Thank you, and I'll just give a round of applause to anybody out there. So thank you for the opportunity to present. This is a great time we're at in Ontario right now. We're at I think a time where we are growing, and I think the story at ENBRIDGE is one of seeing that growth and trying to support that growth. So home for me is just outside Windsor, a beautiful community of Bell River in the municipality of Lakeshore. Highly recommend you visit sometime. So I use the anecdote, excuse me, that my aunt and uncle, they're both retired sales executives. So they traveled around the province. So my aunt, she covered Windsor all the way up to Hamilton area. And I remember as a kid saying to her, man, that is far territory to cover. So my uncle, he covered Windsor up to Montreal. And I remember saying, man, that is really far territory to cover. So now I cover all of Ontario for ENBRIDGE in the economic development role, and I'm left saying to just myself, man, that is a lot of territory to cover. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to address you today. I've had some great meetings over the past week here in Eastern Ontario with the City of Kingston, and great meetings yesterday with a whole host of folks from Leeds Grenville area, and here to talk about a lot of exciting things on the go, certainly. This slide in this picture really doesn't even do it justice, but I'll try to do it justice in the sense that we are seeing unprecedented growth in Ontario right now from a natural gas demand perspective. The slide tells you over 35 natural gas growth projects underway across the province, 100 plus large volume distribution opportunities. These are some of our largest customers seeking to expand their operations. We're also assessing, working in close touch with the province on 15 plus economic development sites and significant opportunities. In the Eastern Ontario area, obviously, the Umicore news, fantastic news, and that itself is driving a lot of demand for energy in the area, and that's leading to what I'm here to talk about today in the Leeds Grenville area, specifically with the expression of interest that we've launched. But we also launched another one just on Wednesday in Trenton to Kingston as well, so can't lose sight of that. And we'll be discussing kind of what an expression of interest is and what that involves. But look across the province, as you see on the slide there, from the north where we have an active expression of interest right now in Sudbury and North Bay. Just launched another one in the Hallam and Nanticoke area. Earlier one this year in Sarnia. We're proud to be serving the Nexstar plant in Windsor. And so it goes on and on and on. And I think it speaks to a story that many of you in the municipal community, in the provincial government community, in the community in general know that there is, in addition to all the people coming to Ontario, there is significant growth occurring in need for water, wastewater, hydro, telecom, and we're no different in the gas sector as well, and really seeing that demand, and certainly here in Leeds Grenville. I think another really important point here to focus on is that the Independent Electricity System Operator recently released a report that said, in Ontario, over the next, I believe it's 20 to 30 years, there's going to be a requirement for an additional 40,000 megawatts of electricity demand. So I've been in the energy industry for 15 years. I started my career in the local distribution company. Shout out to anyone who is an owner of a local distribution company. I'm a proud beginner in the local distribution company field. I have also worked in renewables and now in gas. That figure, 40,000 to a total requirement of 80,000. When you hear megawatts and you're not in the industry, you may not understand, what those terms mean. Like, what is a megawatt? What is 80,000 and all that? Consider that, there's a plan right now for the Bruce nuclear plant, which is the largest nuclear plant in North America, to double its size to become the largest nuclear facility in the world. And even that is not going to get us to the 40 to 80,000 needed. It's going to require a mix of everything, everyone throwing everything that they possibly can at it. I liken it to, there was a recent news article down my way, the president and CEO of Essex Power, it's a local distribution company, who was announcing a new project that they're working on and said, we need to throw everything at this to prevent Ontario from brownouts, blackouts. We need every solution out there. And from the ENBRIDGE GAS perspective, we don't generate power, but we supply natural gas to power generators, and we're happy to be there to support that and to help Ontario meet its goals as we continue to grow. Let's talk about Leeds and Grenville specifically, and some exciting news this way. So I just want to give you a bit of background on what an expression of interest is and what a reverse open season is. These are very industry-ish terms, so I'll try to keep it very simple. But at ENBRIDGE GAS, we have what are called contract rate customers. So these are our largest customers, often, not all. So these are customers who are such large users of gas that they've elected to sign a long-term contract with ENBRIDGE GAS to guarantee varying levels of service, whether they want gas on a firm basis, which means they're never without service, whether they want at a lower rate to accept interruptible gas, which means you have to have a backup fuel source, but you get gas perhaps at a lower rate as an interruptible customer. And so these are our largest customers. They have these varying contracts with us. A lot of them also transact at what's called our Dawn Hub, which is one of the largest storage and transmission facilities of natural gas in North America. So a lot of them will actually purchase their gas at the Dawn Hub via independent marketers. It would be their own full-time employees. They'll manage their gas and they'll get it shipped to their facilities through our pipeline network. So from time to time, what occurs is these large customers, just by random chance in a geographic area, will approach our account managers, and every contract rate customer has an account manager, and they'll say, I'm looking to expand my business, I'd like some more gas capacity. So instead of, for example, let's say there was 10 of them, instead of us doing 10 separate projects to address that large industrial demand, what we're looking to do with this expression of interest is get a sense from those customers as to what exactly they need in terms of increased capacity, and then go back to those customers at a later date with a plan to do perhaps just one or two projects, putting all things combined, all resources combined together. That prevents us from having to go out and build 10 different things for those 10 different customers if it is that way. So that's what an expression of interest in a nutshell is. It's identifying market demand from our contract rate customers, from our large users, and then building facilities, if required, accordingly to meet their demands in the most efficient and prudent way. Now, at the same time we do that, we also continue to efficiently and prudently plan our system by doing a reverse open season, which gives those customers the right to turn back or give back capacity they currently have with ENBRIDGE and say, my business, we no longer need this much gas, we're turning it back to you. And so that allows us even further to plan our system efficiently. Maybe we can, if that one customer over here doesn't want gas for any longer, we can shift that over to other customers and avoid having to do a facilities build. So that's what an expression of interest is. It was launched last week here. Fully public process. It's available on our website. All the information was sent to the large customers, and I thank so much the economic development folks and the municipal leadership here in Leeds and Grenville for helping promote this and reach out to customers who may be interested in placing a bid in the expression of interest. And it'll be open until January 19th, so plenty of time throughout the holidays to contemplate bids. Once that's done, our engineering team will take a look and decide and report back as to where we see things going. And the same exact thing is happening in Trenton to Kingston right now as well. The only difference is that launched just this week and will be open to January 26th. So certainly please visit our website to learn more on that, and we look forward to seeing what comes of that. Another very important thing that I wanted to speak about, because I think time's of the essence, is, so we talked there with the expression of interest, which is really focused on our industrials and our large customers and our institutions. What's really important to talk about as well is the ongoing provincial natural gas consultation that's happening right now and closes on December 15th. So this consultation is about municipalities, key stakeholders, providing information to the province on what your priorities are in terms of natural gas in your community. Now, this launched in August, and you've got, a little less than a month now to submit anything to the note there. If you do need any information on where specifically to, what website to visit, what email to send to, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to provide that to you. But it's really important that you get your voice heard through this consultation process as to what you would like to see from a future phase, potentially, if that's the case, of a natural gas expansion program. And we know that the natural gas expansion program, phase 2, was just a fantastic program, but very oversubscribed, right? So we look at on the list there, or on the note there, that more than 17,000 families and businesses across Ontario, 59 communities, have been given the choice to switch to natural gas as part of phase 2. But there were something like 200 applications, over $2 billion in cost, right? So we know that there's a lot of demand out there, and I think it's very important for any key stakeholders out there to make sure your voice is registered and make sure you go to that site there for sure. Another thing I want to talk about that's actually not on the slide, but very recent, and that's why it's not on the slide. My colleague here, Matthew Wilson, Matthew is our Senior Advisor, Municipal Affairs for Eastern Ontario. So for all the municipal folks out there, please do reach out to Matthew. He is your contact for all things ENBRIDGE. Matthew spoke this morning at the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus CAOs Committee, if I've got that right, regarding the Ontario Energy Board leave to construct threshold matter. So something that was brought up by the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus, who passed a resolution to that effect and sent a letter to the Minister of Energy on it, is that currently in Ontario, if you would like to build a natural gas pipeline project, and the pipeline component only, so not any stations or natural gas stations, you see the above ground equipment, that's a station. The pipeline component itself, if that work equals $2 million or more, you have to go to the Ontario Energy Board for approval. So going to the Ontario Energy Board for approval is a roughly 2 to 3 year process. And I think what we've heard from a lot of industrials and others in the province is that the 2 to 3 year timeline is perhaps a bit problematic in their urgent need to set up shop and build in Ontario. So I know, and particularly in the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus case, Brant County has been a real leader in that and has raised one matter, which was there was a $1 billion battery plant investment that was headed for Brant County. But when told of the Ontario Energy Board's leave to construct threshold, the company did elect not to locate in Ontario. So Matthew addressed the Wardens Caucus Committee today about that issue. Certainly if you'd like any more detail on that issue. And I think our ask of you as municipal folks is, if you would like to advocate on that issue, is to please contact your local MPP, your provincial government representation, talk about that issue, talk about its importance, and Matthew's happy to certainly talk about that with you as well. And another thing finally I wanted to add too is, often not talked about enough, I think, at ENBRIDGE, and I think we've got to do a better job of talking about it, is something called our System Expansion Surcharge program. So this was approved by the Ontario Energy Board in 2020, and it's been an incredible success at very short main extension projects to connect 2 homes, 3 homes, 4 homes, 5 homes in very expeditious manner. So what it allows us to do is connect from the existing gas main customers who may currently not be on a natural gas source, connect them using a surcharge on their bill monthly. So whatever that, it has to equal out to 40 years or less. And if it does equal out to 40 years or less, we can extend the main a few hundred meters, connect those customers, and keep building and building our system. If you go on the ENBRIDGE GAS website right now, and you go to the System Expansion Surcharge page, since 2020, We've got about 900 of those small main extension projects, 2 customers, 3 customers, 4 customers, 1 customer in flight or already constructed. And this is something I think from a municipal perspective as well, for those in the audience, for those, and we're not talking, to be clear, about large projects that serve entire communities. We're talking about is building that network organically. This mechanism exists and is available to you. So if you want to know more about that, certainly reach out to Matthew or I. So a lot on the go right now from ENBRIDGE, but I think it's a really good story in the Leeds and Grenville area with this expression of interest, all the industrial demand we're seeing, and with these other opportunities perhaps to connect more communities to gas. So with that, I just wanted to thank you all. I'm sure there'll be a fair bit of questions, but if I can leave one thing with you, certainly, is that Matthew's here to cover the municipal affairs for you. But any large industrial opportunities that you're chasing, that you need some assistance or support from ENBRIDGE, please do reach out to me directly on those. That's where I'll be able to help. I work directly with the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, and Invest Ontario on those opportunities as well. So thank you so much.